Moi kaikki! Today we will be talking about how to create the past tense in Finnish. So in Finnish this is called imperfekti, and it means the simple past tense. So if you're doing something and that action or whatever it is has completely ended and it's in the past behind you, it's not continuing anymore, it's done, over, finito, loppu. That's the past tense, that's the imperfekti. So as a brief intro, only the verb changes when you are creating past tense in Finnish, and you use the present tense of the verb to create the past tense. So it's a good idea to make yourself familiar with the personal endings or the suffixes because they influence the verb also in present tense. And when we are making these past tense verbs, the pronoun and those suffixes do come into play as well. Also, as a little warning, consonant gradation can take place also in past tense, so beware of that. All in all, when creating past tense in Finnish, we can group verbs into 5 different categories based on how they change into the past tense. And thus it can be easier to understand and remember how this is done. And we'll get right into that. But first, let me introduce you to this video's sponsor, italki. So recently I did go on a short holiday to South Korea. And before my trip, I booked a beginner's conversation class with a teacher on italki. I wanted to pick up a few easy phrases that I could use during my trip in Korea. There are so many teachers that you can choose from, so even at a super short notice, you can definitely find a teacher with a slot available for a time that suits your schedule. I literally booked my class I think a day or 2 before my flight, so that is possible as well. My teacher was super kind and I messaged her in advance to let her know my purpose of taking the class, so she was able to actually completely tailor that class to fit my needs and what I wanted to get out of that class. She was super friendly and made me feel comfortable speaking out loud, and I wasn't worried about making mistakes since from the start she created such a relaxed and warm environment.
이름 뭐예요?
카티야.
카티야? 저는 슬기예요.
슬기.
네. 오, 좋아요.
So if you do have any plans about visiting Finland over this summer and want to practice some useful phrases before your trip, then you can head over to italki's website. You can find the link in my bio, where you can browse through all the Finnish teachers offering conversation classes and choose a slot that suits you. The whole process is super simple, and as an italki ambassador, it also helps me create more content like this past tense video if you click on the link in the bio and go explore all the Finnish classes that italki has to offer. Alright, so as I said, there are basically 5 different rules, you could say, that we can clump verbs into when we're trying to create past tense in Finnish. So let's talk first about rule number 1. So in rule number 1, if in present tense the Finnish verb ends in o, u, or y before the personal ending, so before the suffix for the pronoun, if the verb ends in o, u, or y, then you add an I before the personal ending and it becomes past tense. So one hint for recognizing a past tense verb, in Finnish is that they have an I in there. Sometimes you only add an I, sometimes you add an I and another letter, but the rule of thumb is if there is an extra I hanging out in that verb in Finnish, good chance it's past tense. So one verb that would fit this rule is kysyä. Kysyä, to ask. Minä kysyn. Minä kysyn. I ask. Okay? Kysyn. The N is the personal ending. So the letter before N is a Y. Therefore, all we need to do is add an I after the Y to make it into minä kysyin, and now it's in past tense. Everything else about the sentence can stay the same. Minä kysyin. Minä kysyin. I asked in past tense. I asked. Minä kysyin. For sinä, it's sinä kysyt in present tense. Okay? So the only thing that we need to do is the T is marking the personal ending here. T is for you. So all we need to do after the Y is add the I, and now it's in past tense. Sinä kysyit. Sinä kysyit. You asked in past tense, right? So pretty simple, pretty simple. Sanoa, to say something. Sanoa, sanoa. So if I say something in present tense, it would be minä sanon. Minä sanon. So the N is the personal ending for me. And what's the letter before that? It's an O, right? So as the rule states, if it ends in O before the personal ending, we just add an I. So it turns into minä sanoin. Minä sanoin. O, I plus the personal end, now it's in past tense. Minä sanoin, I said. Blah, 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 blah. Everything else in the sentence can be the same. What about katsoa? Minä katson. What would the past tense be? I'll put the answers in the description box. Have a go at trying that out. Minä katson. What's the past tense? Rule number 2. So in rule number 2, the verbs that belong here are verbs that end in a, e, I, or a before the personal ending. What we do with these verbs to change them into the past tense is we remove the last vowel and add an I. So it's the same thing as the previous rule. The only thing is, instead of leaving the vowel there, we take it away. Gone. But we also add an I here. So let's take an example to kind of digest this information. In present tense, I buy would be minä ostan. Minä ostan. N is the personal ending. And then we can see the letter right before the N is an A. That means it falls into rule number 2. Rule number 2. Minä ostan. And to change it into past tense, what do? We remove the A. We remove the last vowel. The last vowel is an A. We remove it and replace it with an I. So minä ostan becomes minä ostin. I bought. Minä ostin. I bought. So sinä ostat, you buy, present tense, turns into, remember the T is the personal ending. The last vowel before that is sinä ostat is A. So it's rule 2. We remove the last vowel, the A, and add the I. Sinä ostit. Sinä ostit. You bought in past tense. Another verb that belongs to rule 2 is mennä. To go somewhere. To go. Mennä. So minä menen is the present tense. I go. Minä menen. Menen. So the N is the personal ending, and then we can see, oh, the last vowel here, the last letter before the personal ending is an E. So it's rule 2, and what we need to do, remove that last vowel, take that E away, and replace it with an I. So it becomes minä menin. I went. Minä menin. Same with sinä. Sinä menet, present tense. E away, add the I. Sinä menit. Sinä menit, you went in past tense. And now the funny thing here is, if you see The rule is verbs that end in a, e, I, or a. So you can see here, I, but then you're like, if the rule states that if the verb ends in I before the personal ending, then you remove the I and replace it with an I, doesn't that just become the same thing? You would be correct in assuming so. So let's take an example where the verb actually doesn't change at all because of this. So dansia, to dance, is one of these verbs. So in present tense, I dance would be minä tanssin. Minä tanssin. So as you can see, N is the personal ending for me, and then the letter before that is an I, so that's the last vowel. You take that away, add it with an I, or add the I there, it's still tanssin. So minä tanssin can be both in present tense or past tense. The verb is the same, whether you're talking about minä tanssin right now in present tense, or minä tanssin eilen, I danced yesterday. The verb looks the same and is pronounced the same. So tanssin can be in both present tense and past tense. So when you're making your sentences about tanssin, you have to make it clear whether you're talking about the present tense or past tense just based on other words, like minä tanssin tänään, I danced today, or minä tanssin eilen, I danced yesterday. So that's how you can tell whether it's in present or past tense. Okay, but here is a practice question for you. What about heittää? So minä heitän would be present tense. How would you put it into past tense? Have a go. Let's do rule number 3. Verbs in rule 3 have 2 or more syllables, both with an A in them. And how to turn it into past tense is the last A turns into OI. For example, maksaa, to pay. Maksaa is 2 syllables. Maksaa, maksaa. Mak has an A, saa has 2 A's, so both parts have an A in it. Therefore, it belongs to rule 3. So maksaa, what do we do? So minä maksan is the present tense. Minä maksan. So the second A in the second syllable part turns into OI. So minä maksan turns into minä maksoin. Minä maksoin, I paid in the past tense. Minä maksoin. Sinä maksat. Maksat. At. That second A turns into sinä katsoit. Sinä katsoit in the past. Another example is laulaa, to sing. 2 syllables. Laulaa. Laulaa. Minä laulan is present tense. Minä lauloin is past tense. That second A gets turned into OI. Minä lauloin. Sinä laulat. Again, the T is the personal ending for you. So before that, the A gets turned into OI. Sinä lauloit. Sinä lauloit. What about the verb kantaa? To carry something. Kantaa. 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 Minä kannan would be present tense, I carry. And what about the past tense? Minä what? I carried. How would you say this? Answer in the description box. Moving on to rule 4. So verbs that belong to rule 4 are short words. So short verbs that end in DA or DA. So basically verb type 2 verbs. So the rule for these ones to change them into past tense is remove the first vowel and add I before the personal ending. So one verb in this category would be syödä. Syödä, to eat. It ends in D-a. Therefore, it belongs to rule 4. The rule was we remove the first vowel. So we take that Y away, gone, and then we add an I before the personal ending. So before N, we will put an I there. So it turns into minä söin. Minä söin. I ate in the past tense. So minä syön turns into minä söin. I ate. Similarly, juoda, to drink something, ends in da. It's a short verb, ends in da. It belongs to this rule 4 group. So, how does the past tense for juoda work? Remember, present tense would be minä juon. Minä juon. So you take the first vowel away, which is the U. Gone, not needed. Add the I before the personal ending, so before N we put an I, and it turns into minä join in past tense. Minä join, I drank. Sinä juot, you drink. Sinä joit, me juomme, me joimme. He juovat, he joivat. It's the same thing. The personal ending, just add the I before that and take the first vowel away. Okay, now it's your turn to try. What about saada? To get something. Saada. Saada. Minä saan is present tense, so what would the past tense be? Minä, I got. What is it? Okay, and just as a point, the one exception for this is the verb käydä. Käydä. Minä käyn is the present tense, I visit, but it turns into minä kävin, I visited. So this is a exception to this one. And last but not least, rule number 5, we're finally here. Essentially all verb type 4 verbs belong to this rule chunk group for past tense, and some verb type 1s, if that means anything to you. The rule is remove an A or A, add SI. So for example, herätä, to wake up. Minä herään, double A at the end. Minä herään. One of those A's has to go, and then you add SI in its place before the personal ending N. So minä herään becomes minä heräsin. Minä heräsin. I woke up in past tense. Sinä herät turns into sinä heräsit. Take one A away, replace it with SI before the T. You woke up. Sinä heräsit. What about pelata? To play. Minä pelaan. I play. Minä pelaan. There's 2 A's at the end. One of them has to be taken away, and before the personal ending N, you add SI. So it turns into minä pelasin. I played. Minä pelasin. I played. Sinä pelaat. Sinä pelasit. You played. Sinä pelasit. What about tykätä? Minä tykkään. I like. Tykätä, to like. Minä tykkään. I like. What would the past tense of this one be? Minä tykkään turns into... What could it be? What could it be? It's not easy to know which group these verbs fall into and therefore which rule we should be using, but just keep practicing, keep being consistent, practice it over and over again. Also, for my Patreon and YouTube membership level 2 members, I do create workbooks for you every month based on my content, so you will be getting a lot of worksheets, a lot of practice questions, so you guys can practice this using my worksheets at the end of this month, so look forward to that. Hopefully this video made some sense, and good luck with practicing the past tense. Moikka!